Technology as a resource, increasing engagement in learning and developing 21st century skills by Jessica Lukey. Developing my inquiry question. Technology is becoming more increasingly integrated into the classroom environment. As society keeps on developing new technological devices, students are becoming more aware of these digital devices and using them in their learning and free time. Therefore, it is of the utmost importance that teachers begin to integrate the use of digital devices into the classroom environment through the facilitation of learning. This corresponds to one of the factors that led to the development of my area of inquiry. Through my various school placement experiences, along with my personal history of using technology in grade school and in university to help my engagement in learning, my history and experiences with technology ultimately led myself to become interested in this area of inquiry. Inquiry question. My question of inquiry pertains to define how technology has initiated and increased student engagement within their learning, and through this, how has technology specifically influenced the creation of the 21st century learner? Educational literature background. What is the background and educational research literature related to my inquiry question? Background in educational research literature that relates to my inquiry question was a variety of resources. Mr. Suguta Maitra played a large role within my background literature for my research study, and a multiple incorporation of sources, as he discusses the importance of technology, specifically computers, to facilitate student engagement and learning in the classroom. Through a multi-case study he conducted with children in remote villages in India and around the world, he placed a computer in these environments with no tutoring on how these devices operate, and concluded that over time, children were more motivated to learn by themselves. Through this, he discusses the importance of a teacher to develop questions for learners, and then stand back and let the students do the work. With other sources such as single-case research study on the multiple affordances of using technology in the classroom, along with a documentary on the future digital classroom, as well as a source on the 21st century skills of the future, and finally the 21st century teaching skills required for teachers to teach 21st century students. My sources help to strengthen the notion that motivation is key to student engagement through the implementation of technology. Background. Why was the background important to understand? The background literature to my research inquiry is important to understand because it helps to set a framework of where my inquiry will eventually lead to. By gaining an understanding of previous research done in my particular field of inquiry, it overall helps to build a foundation of the conclusions that I may be able to draw once I have conducted my research, as well as gain an understanding of the differing views that may oppose or support my area of inquiry. Research context. The research context of my area of inquiry defines my study context, primarily where my research was conducted, my research participants, and privacy. Study context. Where did I conduct my study? My research study was conducted by creating a survey for participants through the use of Google surveys. Through the use of emails and Facebook posts and messages, I sent my survey out to a wide network of friends, colleagues, and students, etc. to complete the survey. I also engaged in conducting interviews for my study context, which were either conducted at Mount Royal University or at Starbucks in Airdrie, Alberta. Research participants. Who were my research participants? My research participants comprised of elementary student-teacher candidates, university students, or other. Privacy. How did I assure my participants that they would be protected from harm and that they would not be exposed to risks? How I assured my participants that they would be protected from harm and that they would not be exposed to risks was detailing in my survey and verbally through my interviews that their statements are taken anonymously with all results mixed together. I also stated that all my participants who had taken the survey or were interviewed had willingly agreed to take part, and I assured them that all responses are kept confidential with no personal information attached to the study once published. As well, I also stated that participants were able to obtain a copy of the research once published. Methods of investigation. The methods of investigation of my area of inquiry define specific methods of data collection and the organization and analysis of data once obtained. Specific methods of data collection. What specific methods of data collection did I use? Specific methods of data collection that I used within my investigation were Google Drive surveys that also comprised of collecting responses through a Google Drive spreadsheet. The spreadsheet manually organized responses accordingly to each question and listed participants as numbers. Another specific method of data collection that I used within my investigation was my iPhone's voice recorder to tape conversations with my interviews. After taping the conversation, I transcribed the interview onto a Word document and listed the participants as numbers as well. Organization and analysis of data. How did I organize and analyze my data? How I organized my research data was through the use of Google Spreadsheets, which collected and manually organized responses into the correct box accordingly to the question being answered. In reference to the interviews conducted, I organized responses in a Word document that was similarly set up as the Google Spreadsheets. How I analyzed my research data was through adding my interview data to my Google Spreadsheet survey responses and reading all the responses together multiple times to draw key themes and conclusions. I also integrated the use of Wordle for my long answer questions to draw out words that were used on a large-scale basis from all responses from a certain question combined. Therefore, by using these methods to analyze data, I was able to pick out the main themes and ideas that correlated from all responses to a certain question that helped myself draw conclusions to my area of inquiry. Findings. The findings of my research study define the survey and interview questions used to investigate my area of inquiry, with the incorporation of responses from the research participants. Educational background. Question 1. What is your educational background? Research participants' educational background comprised of 61% a student in the Bachelor of Education program, 30% being students in a program other than the Bachelor of Education program, and 9% were other. Digital technology devices owned. Question 2. Check the relevant boxes that correlate to the technological devices that you currently own. Research participants had 27% owned a laptop computer, 25% a smartphone, 21% portable music players, 9% desktop computers and tablets, 4% ebook readers, and 5% other. Time spent on digital devices. Question 3. How much time in a day do you currently spend on technological devices? Research participants comprised of 52% spending 4 to 6 hours, 22% 1 to 3 hours, 17% 7 to 9 hours, and 9% 10 hours plus. Skills technology has imparted. Question 4. What skills do you think technology has imparted upon yourself and other learners, as opposed to writing handwritten notes and copying and reading from a textbook? Major themes and conclusions that were drawn from research participants in this area of inquiry question comprised of technology allowing students to become self-directed learners, allowing the access and evaluating of information through imparting critically thinking and solving data skills to become more engaged thinkers, and influencing leadership and collaboration skills. Skills required for 21st century learners. Question 5. What do you think are the skills required to be a 21st century learner in the classroom, elementary, middle, or high school today? Major themes that were concluded from this inquiry question from research participants was that it was crucial to have typing proficiency and mastery, evaluate and assess data both technological and textbook-based, research skills, problem-solving and critically thinking skills, and very profoundly, have confidence in your ability to learn. Technology versus traditional method to learn. Question 6. Do you prefer to use technology to help you learn, or do you prefer the traditional method of reading a textbook and writing by hand? Why? Major themes and conclusions that were drawn from research participants in this area of inquiry question comprised of an overwhelmingly 83% of the participants preferring to use technological-based tools to learn. Many research participants noted they preferred technology in their learning as it was easier and faster to collect notes and information from lectures, and that it was easier to organize and allocate information and notes. Attraction of technology. Question 7. Why do you think individuals are attracted to incorporate technology into their daily lives, whether it be as a learning tool or as a work tool? Major themes that were concluded from this inquiry question from research participants was that the attraction of technology is noted to be a tool which is convenient in organizing information and is efficient in making data more easier to access and allocate. Conclusions and recommendations. Conclusions that I was able to draw from my research inquiry study was that technology is increasingly becoming more influential in students' learning. As students integrate the use of digital devices more profoundly in their learning, they become more motivated to become engaged in what they are learning in the classroom environment. Therefore, the skills that technology has imparted on the creation of the 21st century learner are the ability to become self-directed learners with the ability to access an unlimited amount of information through the internet, and developing leadership and collaboration skills when understanding and gaining competence with new devices and apps. Therefore, it is of the utmost importance that teachers begin to integrate the use of digital devices on a large-scale basis to not only help learners become more motivated and engaged to learn, but to develop a new set of skills, 21st century skills, a direct result of the influence of technology. Impact on future teaching practice. What is the study's potential significance for my future teaching practice as an elementary teacher? The research studies its potential significance for my future teaching practice as an elementary teacher is that it has helped to inform myself that technology has profound influence on learners as being a key motivator to their engagement in learning. By understanding that technology helps students to learn easier and more efficiently, I can take this newfound knowledge and integrate the use of technology on a more large-scale basis within my classroom environment to keep learners engaged in their learning. Future research questions. What are some future research questions that this study has identified? Future research questions that the study has identified for myself to further pursue are the skills imparted upon a learner from a traditional learning setting, such as pencil and paper, versus a technology-based learning setting. As well, the significance of the skills and time required for teachers to understand digital devices in order to implement them into the classroom, and whether or not teachers need workshops on these digital devices may also prove to be a beneficial research of inquiry. Thank you for tagging along and watching my digital story. I hope that you are more informed on how technology has initiated and increased student engagement within their learning, and through this, how technology has specifically influenced the creation of the 21st century learner. Thank you.